Thank you for your interest in volunteering with Abilities Tennis of North Carolina. My name is Lou Welch and I'm Executive Director. Our mission is to serve people with intellectual disabilities by providing year-round tennis programs that enhance one's mental, physical, social, and overall well-being. The participants, we call them athletes, are ages 8 and up. We provide all programs free of charge. Currently, we have 27 clinic sites and 7 tournaments with a myriad of other programs. ATANC is a statewide community tennis association under the North Carolina Tennis umbrella.
My name is Brogan Blazabor and I'm a tennis athlete for Abilities Tennis. Are you nervous about working with people with disabilities? Please don't be. We want to be treated like everybody else. Just come out, have fun, and be our friend.
You may be surprised to hear that Abilities Tennis is actually more about socialization than tennis. Let me describe the way we start our clinics. We begin with a community circle. There will be a question that is asked, and each athlete and volunteer get to share. This way, we build community, friendships, and enduring relationships on and off the court. Once we finish that part, we go into our stretches, which we love for our athletes to lead the stretches. We do static, dynamic stretches, and then we move into ball drills, racket drills, and then just like everybody else, our athletes are ready to play tennis and to compete.
Hi, I'm Billy Fitzsimons with Abilities Tennis Association of North Carolina. We're here in Wilmington at our local clinics, and this is a skills court. With each clinic we have a lot of different abilities of athletes. So we try to divide them up into at least 3 separate abilities. His first ability is called skills. And in the skills clinic, we work on purely strokes, how to hit the forehand, how to hit the backhand. There's not a lot of movement. We just work on the volleys, the serve, and the ground strokes. In this level, you'll have some that will move up because they learn it so quickly, and you'll have others that may be here for years. It doesn't matter because they're still playing tennis, they're still getting the exercise and socialization. So this is our second level of courts. This is short court, and in short court, they use strictly the service boxes. The athletes who are on this court have some mobility issues, so they can't move a full court yet, or they haven't learned to move the full court. Everything's played in the service boxes just like you'd play a regular game. You serve, you volley, and you play out your matches. This is our full court athletes. They've moved up through the skills, through the short court, and now they're playing the full court. This is an entry-level full court group. They've just moved into playing full court. They are starting to move real well for the ball. They can hit their ground strokes, but they still need a lot of work on stroke production. These are also full court athletes. They've been playing for a while, and they are working on strokes like everyone else works on. They're also starting to play more matches and talk about strategy. Most of the athletes have been with our program for a couple years. They have started to enjoy playing traditional doubles and also unified doubles.
We are here to try and show different steps we might be able to teach progressions on any particular stroke. And the key is to do one step at a time until the athlete has an understanding of that before we move to the next step. We want to start with ready position. We're facing the nets, the front of the court. We're starting without a racket, and we're just ready position. Right? I like a little hop, it's just fun. So after ready position, we're going to just demonstrate a forehand. This is not necessarily how to teach a forehand, but it's one way to do it, just to show the different progressions. So again, we're starting without a racket and ready position, and then we're going to take our pretend racket back and turn sideways, and that is the first step. All right, then adding in the next step, we would probably swing. So ready position, turn and take the racket back. I'm just going to say swing.
So for the forehand grip, when teaching an athlete how to hold the racket, Rich is going to hand me the racket and say, shake hands with the racket.
Shake hands.
And we don't want it to be complicated, just very simple. We want it to feel comfortable in their hand, and this is a great way to teach it. So after learning how to do the shadow stroke and the forehand with the racket, we're now learning how to feed the ball. And this is very simple, but it's actually harder than one may think. Now, James is gonna hold his racket and practice a forehand. I'm going to drop the ball, and when I say drop it, I want it to go straight down so that the ball is not going towards James. I'm going to count to 3 and then say hit. 1, 2, 3, hit. Perfect.
So when tossing the ball, it is very important to toss the ball underhand. The ball should be very comfortable in your hand, and it's a soft movement from down here, a loopy ball over the net, and that's it. If we happen to toss the ball over our hand, what happens, it is a threatening situation for the person in front of us. So always make sure you toss the ball underhand.
3, tennis is fun. Ready? 1, 2, 3, tennis is fun.
Our goals for our clinics are to have fun, to be successful, to interact, to improve fitness, but our number one goal is to be safe. Safety is number one. Here are a few things to look for. This racket can actually be a weapon. So if someone's getting a little wieldy with the racket, what we say is, it's time to take a break and hug your racket. You could also say, hey, let's play the guitar. Either one will work. It'll get the racket back close to the athlete. Also make sure athletes are standing far enough apart so that they can swing the racket safely. Another thing to look for is, say there's stray balls around. Please pick up balls so that they don't step on them. And lastly, our athletes may need to take a lot of breaks, especially if it's hot. So water breaks are encouraged. So here are some frequently asked questions. One is, what makes Abilities Tennis different than Special Olympics? And actually, Abilities Tennis came out of Special Olympics. Special Olympics does a fabulous job providing all different kinds of sports year-round, and each sport changes every 2 months. There's a new sport. So if you are a tennis addict, you want to keep playing year-round. So there were 2 parents who had kids who loved tennis. So these 2 parents and a coach came together and created Abilities Tennis to provide tennis year-round to people with intellectual disabilities. Another question is, what if I can't understand what the athlete is saying? This will happen sometimes, but not that often. First, you'll start to listen intently. You can usually figure it out, but if you can't, that's okay. And you can always say, can you please repeat that? And if you still can't figure it out, just continue to support and smile and give high fives and be there for the athlete. Another question is, can the athletes have a physical disability? And yes, they can, but the requirement to participate in Abilities Tennis is to have an intellectual disability. You can also have a physical disability as well. If you have a physical disability, we are always trying to adapt, and so one of our great barriers is overcoming the idea that some people think their kid can't play tennis. They can, and we can always adapt it so that anyone can feel successful in the tennis sport. So what if your buddy, your athlete, is getting upset and you're not really sure what's going on? Just remember, you can always go to the head coach. They will help you out, and ultimately we ask the parents or caregivers to stay. So there are 2 systems in place. So ideally, each volunteer will be put with an athlete. So we call you all buddies. Who doesn't want a buddy in life? Now, what happens if you're in our social circle and we start out and your buddy walks away from the circle? That's okay, but just walk away with them, check in, try to coerce them to come back. But if they don't want to, that's okay. You can wander around the court with them, just befriend them, and look at the fact they're here with people, they're outside, they're moving around, and all's good. So what do we want from you as a volunteer? We want you to show up open, willing to work with these athletes, to learn, to be with them, to encourage them. Bring fun, be silly, lots of high fives, lots of compliments. And if you can be specific about a compliment, say they're going for the ball and they're moving towards it, compliment them on that. Way to move forward, way to track the ball, anything in particular that you can focus on. Also, if you're a tennis player and you see things they can do to become better, please share, please tell them, because you will be shocked at how good some of these athletes can become. Some of them right now are playing at a 4.0, 4.5 level. it's impressive. Now, some will remain on the skills court. That's great. They're having just as much fun, but it's very satisfying for our athletes to get better, and it's also satisfying for you as a volunteer. Also, while you're on the court, please just focus on the athletes. Leave your phones on the side of the court. Be present and enjoy your time. We can promise you that your time will be appreciated on the courts with them. You will leave feeling happy and better and joyful. Thank you so much for your interest in volunteering with Abilities Tennis of North Carolina. We know that you will love being on the courts with our athletes.
Thank you for volunteering at Abilities Tennis.